After the corkscrew area, the passage angles up for another 5 feet or so, then turns down over a rock ledge with a sharp 90-degree bend to the left. Up until now, cavers had used this small area after the corkscrew to turn back on themselves if needed, and head back through the difficult section. Turning around in this part of the tunnel was not an option for him. He was in a 12-inch high space, with not enough lateral area for his pressed body to ball up for a turn. He pushed forward to the ledge area and squeezed over the top of it. It was a tight area to get through, but he thought he could see it open up down below. He sucked in his stomach and pressed himself through the squeeze. John didn't know it, but no one else had ever crossed over this ledge before. He was in completely uncharted territory. Once he passed through a tight zone, he started to slide toward the bottom of this tunnel. He was nearly doing a handstand, trying to hold his body up and figure out how to push back. He was collapsing onto his shoulders and head at this point, and needed to make a move to get out of this vertical position. His headlamp gave him a glimpse of a hole in the floor ahead, which might lead to a larger space. He was collapsing onto his shoulders and head at this point, and needed to make a move to get out of this vertical position. His headlamp gave him a glimpse of a hole in the floor ahead, which might lead to a larger space. He felt a little more hopeful now, thinking that they would be laughing about this misadventure over Thanksgiving dinner. He made the slight turn and headed towards the hole. Exactly how he got himself into this tunnel hole is unknown. It's thought that he may have slipped, hit his head and became wedged in the tight space. The other thought was that he looked in the hole, but misjudged what he saw, thinking it was an opening and not simply a dead-end fissure. Either way, John had ended up in a small opening in the bottom of this tunnel, which was impossibly narrow. Just 18 inches by 10 inches, not much bigger than the screen of a laptop computer. John found himself wedged nearly completely upside down at a 70-degree angle. He had spent some time trying to push himself back upwards out of this hole. It was exhausting. His arms were pinned in a useless position, one folded under his chest, and the other trapped on a rock down by his side. But unlike his brother, he went feet first this time. He continued toward the sound of John's voice, up over the ledge. He finally came to an alarming sight. He could see the end of his brother's legs sticking out of the rock, as if it had swallowed him whole. He inched forward until his feet could squeeze one of John's legs. He tried to grip and pull up, while John pushed from his end. After several futile attempts, they were both feeling exhausted and frustrated. Josh could see that this was very serious, and they would need professional help to get him out. While Josh went for help, one of the other family friends went into the area to speak to John, and let him know that he wasn't alone, focused mostly on the chore of breathing. The fissure squeezed his chest, where only shallow breaths were possible. Gravity continued to pull him against the rough walls of the tunnel, tightening its grip on his exhausted body. Once help had arrived, the first cave rescuer, Susie Matola, made her way to where John was stuck. Working her way through the corkscrew area was much easier for her. Ropes had been tied to her ankles as a precaution in case she got stuck as well. She checked on how John was doing and let him know that they'd be getting him out.